It's loading up. All right, cool. Looks like we're on YouTube. So let me just close that. Let me get this on the Facebook page real quick. Let's keep going here. All right, looks like we're good to go, guys. So let me check the news real quick. We have news coming up at, let's see, at 6:30. We have Australian news, so that usually affects the market. But let's see, it's construction work done. I don't think it's going to affect it too much, so we'll probably trade right through it if we've seen entries at 6 p.m. Let's see. All right, we have a couple questions here, so let me go to Hashim real quick. He's asking about US30. So Hashim's asking, where do you see US30 heading? Full TP? Yeah, me personally, I think it's going to hit full TP, but it's probably going to take some time because we're in Asia session right now. So it's probably going to move pretty slow until then, or I don't know. We've already hit TP2. So, if you took this trade, most of you would have gotten out at TP2 for like 750 pips. So the thing is, me personally, I don't like holding trades from US session to Asia session, because generally when it moves to another session, there could be a shift in momentum and in trend. So let me just put there you go. I think this is where the market, where Asian market started. So this was like about 2 p.m. Actually, no, it'd be about 3 p.m. Yeah, I think it would start right about now, 4 o'clock. So it looks like Asia session just opened. So the next signal is probably going to be a sell signal, but it could be a false signal. Like right here, we have a false buy signal. If this happens, then, it's pretty indecisive. But we'll have to see what happens after this candle closes and it moves forward, because the thing is, it might move forward and then it might give a false sell, which could continue to push price upwards. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm aiming for it to hit full TP, but there's really like no guarantees that will actually happen. Let me go on the shorter time frames. So if you look on the 5-minute, price is already actually shift above. It's corrected back upward to the upwards trend. So the thing is, with the 10-minute, it might follow through with that. So price might continue to push on upwards and then correct back to the uptrend somewhere up here. And then once it does that, it might come down and retest it and then shoot back up. That's my best guess, because I'm still anticipating it to continue upwards. Whenever we call a trade during New York session, I always anticipate this to hit full TP. Eventually, it might not happen right now because it might go sideways for a bit before shooting upwards, or it can shoot upwards like I just drew earlier. Like it can shoot up, it can break the K2 pivots, retest it, and then shoot back up. But we won't really know until there's some actual movement in the market. You can see right here, it's barely moving. You can see from, the past couple candles, it's only moved about 166 pips. Comparing it to the candles during US session, it was moving like 600 to 700 pips. So you just have to give it some time, and then we'll figure out how it moves by then. But yeah, let me see. Oh, Aaron's here. Yeah, Aaron, can you hear me?
You said what?
Aaron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So Aaron's here. Let me keep going down the questions. So let's see. We got another question from Denicia. She's saying, how much money would you recommend we have in our account before trading US30? So generally, you need at least $1,000 to trade US30. It's $1,000 per 1.01 lot size, depending on what broker you're trading on. So if you're trading with Hugo's Way or any other unregulated broker, that allows US clients. Generally, you need about $1,000 to trade with them. I know some people use CoinEx, but me personally, I haven't used them, and I don't recommend trading with anything under 1,000 anyways. So, 1,000 would be your baseline. That'd be the bare minimum. But you can talk to people in the chat. There's some people that use CoinEx and they use a smaller account size. But me personally, I've never experienced that, and I've never used that broker. So I personally can't recommend them. Or I don't even recommend Hugo's Way, but I mean that's the only option if you're trading a account smaller than 10,000. But yeah, if you want to trade US30, you're going to need at least 1,000 per 0.01 lot size. Next question. What's the least that should be in your trading account? Oh, same question. So anonymous attendee is asking, what's the least that should be in your trading account to trade US30? And like I mentioned just now, only you need to have at least $1,000. That'd probably be the bare minimum. Even if you have the highest leverage, that's still barely cutting it. Like for Hugo's Way, if you have 1 to 500 leverage, you can probably take one US30 position with $500, but that's gonna put you at risk of getting margin called out. And there's really no point in you risking that, because what could happen is, say you're in this trade, right? And then price comes down close to stop loss, but not completely a stop loss, but you don't have enough margin, you're going to get kicked out of this trade. And then what happens right after that? It goes straight to TP. So you literally just threw money away because you just wouldn't have enough money to trade, US30. And that's why we recommend a bare minimum of 1,000, because that will give you enough margin to cover, the entire stop loss. Even though you're only risking like 150, it's going to be enough to cover it. So that's why we recommend that you have at least 1,000. And a lot of people try to trade it with less, but you're literally over leveraging, and odds are you're probably going to blow your account. Let's see. Zuby just messaged me. He said, "Never mind, K2, FTMO is legit." Yeah, Zuby just said in the premium, like he was arguing about FTMO being a scam. I mean, the only people that think FTMO is a scam are the people that can't pass it. The only people that complain about it are the people that can't pass it. Like FTMO is not easy. Like it's easy to pass it with K2, but it's not easy to trading the funded account and making profits off it, because it's not meant to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it and everyone would pass it. The thing is, you have to be very consistent. You have to be on point with, man, fuck Aaron.
Hey, Shawn. Hey, what's furry cost?
What was that?
Furry cost. What's that?
Man, I'll start, Aaron. But yeah, so anyways, back to FTMO. So yeah, guys, you guys don't have to do FTMO. It's something that I've introduced to you guys, but I never advise that you guys do it. I mean, if you guys want to do it, then do it. But odds are, if you're not on point with your trading, you're not going to pass it, because their requirements are so strict. For me, I'm very careful with my trading. I use proper risk management every time, and that's how I'm able to pass it. I mean, I've showed you guys the profit. Like, you guys, like if you're trading a $10,000 account, I mean a $100,000 account, you need 10,000 to pass it, right? I showed you guys, like, from the start, like my first trade here on the 24th, I locked in 3,000 off that one trade. And then the next trade, it just kept adding up. 5,000, 7,000, 8,000. Let's see. 9,000. 11,000, and I was done. I mean, this isn't something that everyone can do. I'm really experienced trading. I'm really good at scalping, so I'm able to do this. But not everyone can do this, because not everyone can trade as efficiently as me or as quickly as me. Like, I know what I'm doing, and that's why I'm able to do this. But that doesn't mean that everyone can do this. I mean, I've been trading for 10 years, so I kind of know what I'm doing. You can't just pick up trading and then the next day be able to do what I'm doing. You get what I'm saying? So I'll show you guys a little later how I scalp. It's not super difficult, but it's also not easy, because you kind of have to know what you're doing. But we'll get over to that in a little bit. Let me keep going through the questions. Let's see.
Hold on.
Zanesi is asking, what are the best indicators to enter a trade? So for me, I only use the K2 indicators. I don't use anything else. If you guys aren't familiar with the K2 indicator, so the first indicator that we use is the K2 momentum indicator. Basically, the K2 momentum indicator provides the direction of momentum. So say if you get a green buy signal with a green bullish candle, if you have those two, it's going to indicate that momentum swinging upwards. So obviously it swung up. And then if you get a red sell signal with a red bearish candle, then this will signify a momentum swing downwards. So you can see right here, it was a buy signal that was valid, it went up. A sell signal that was valid, it went down. Buy signal that was valid, went up. Sell signal that was valid, went down. You know, vice versa. And then the other indicator that I use would be there's a lot of different, we have like 5 K2 indicators. The second one's a K2 trend meter. You can see down here, it gives you the overall trend. So instead of having to draw trend lines like, everyone else, so parallel channels, if you wanted to draw trend lines like that, you could do that. But if you want it to be a lot easier and you want to be more efficient with your trading, you can use the trend meter down here. So the trend meter, when it's green, it's obviously trending up. It's very easy. You just look at it and then you know that price is trending up. If it's blue, this means that price is indecisive. So that means that price could be trending up on one time frame while it's trending down on another time frame. And then you can change the settings here under the K2 trend meter. I have it set to the intraday settings, which is a 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour, but you can change that depending on your style. So if you want to see the short-term trend, you can change it to the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. If you want to swing trade, you can change it to the 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly. It's just really up to you how you want to use it. And the next indicator would be the K2SR indicator. So what this does is it automatically plots the nearest support resistance on the chart for you. So if I rewind time right there, you can see that there's resistance support right there. And then as price moves, you can see that it automatically adjusts for you. And that's so you know at all times where the support resistance is on the chart. So if it moves to an area where price hasn't reached in a long time, obviously there's not going to be any resistance there because price hasn't tested that specific area more than once. On top of that, we have the K2SR indicator version 2. And basically what this does is it automatically plots the closest rejection zones on the chart for you. So you can see right here, it's a nice rejection zone. Down here, same. Down here, and you can see that price basically moves from zone to zone. So price comes up, rejects off the zone, comes down, rejects off here, comes up, rejects off here. And then it just pretty much continues to replot the support resistance for you. So you can see right there, new resistance, new support. And then it automatically shows you where price is likely to reject from. Like obviously you wouldn't take a buy if it's at resistance because it came up, rejected off it. You wouldn't take a sell when it's at support because price reject right off it. And then similarly over here, so price came up, it tested the resistance, went sideways, then it broke upwards, rejected off this resistance, and then price just moves from zone to zone. It's just the nature of trading and how everything moves. But yeah, those are the on one more indicator. The last indicator is going to be the K2 pivots, which is these 4 lines right here. So basically what they are is that they identify areas of rejection and they're variable. So they move with price. As price moves, so do the pivots. So as you can see right here, as price moves, you can see exactly where price pivots from. And this is how I scalp, but I'll show you guys more in detail later how I do it. But you can see here as price moves, price comes, rejects off the pivots, continues upwards. Rejects off the pivots, continues upwards. Real simple. And this can be used in different ways. This can be used to determine the overall trend. So price is above the pivots are spread out and they're angling up, then that would identify an upwards trend. If price is below the pivots and the pivots are angling down and spread out, that would signify a downtrend. There's a ton of different ways to apply these indicators, but the way that I created all the K2 strategies and all of the K2 indicators, I pretty much covered all corners of trading. Obviously, first and foremost, you need to know the direction of the trend. In order to know the direction of the trend, you can use the trend meter. So if it's green down here, you're only going to take buys. Why would you take a sell? You can go against the trend. You want to go in the specific direction of price because you just want to ride that wave. On top of that, we had the momentum indicator. So obviously, for one, if you know the direction of the trend, you're only buys, right? So if you turn on the K2 momentum indicator, if the price is trending up and you have a valid buy signal, you could enter a buy right here. And then you would have won that trade for like what, 100 or 1,000 pips. Again, right here, you got a buy, momentum swing upwards, trending up. You take a buy right there, another win. Again, right here, price is trending up, you have a buy. Enter a buy right there. You would have won that trade again right there. You could literally do this all day. It's so easy, you know, like I cover everything that you need to know the trading. You know, there's no gray area here. There's no questioning if you take a trade or not. If it meets the requirements, you enter the trade. It's not like price action where it's like, you know, one person will say, oh, you're supposed to buy here, while another person's like, you're supposed to sell here. No, if K2 says to buy, then you buy. There's no questioning it here, you know. And then if we lose a trade, you know, you just take the loss and you continue with the trades, because, you know, just looking at this, it's easy for you to see that, you know, it works. But yeah, so I mean, that's it for that. This is the first strategy, like the very basic strategy that you guys can learn on the course. So if you guys have access to the course, you know, this is what the course looks like. And then if you want to learn that strategy that I just went over right here, it's going to be here at the K2 Trades official intraday trading strategy. And then there's a whole bunch of other strategies here as well. But yeah, it's really up to you. You know, all the strategies are very similar. They're all trend continuation strategies that are based on momentum. So, you know, we always trade in the direction of the trend, and then momentum is going to be our edge in the market. So that's going to be the catalyst telling us when to enter a trade, when not to enter a trade. But there's a whole bunch of different variations here. So depending on what fits your trading style, you can learn whichever one you like the most. Okay, so let's get back to what I was going over. Go back to current price. All right, cool. So let's see the all right, so the next question is from Antoinette. She wants to know, how do I scalp US 30? So the way that let me just open another chart because I don't want to mess up this chart since we're trading on it right now. So this isn't I mean, this is a way that I do scalp it, but it's not the way that I scalped yesterday. I mean, you know, I have so many different variations and I know how to read the charts properly, so I can make changes and I can trade, you know, I can make adjustments depending on how the market's moving. But I'll show you how I identified the actual entry and then how I scalped it yesterday. So the way that I trade it is that I go to 10-minute. So the strategy that I use for this is the K2 pivot strategy. So if you look on the course over here, you go to the K2 scalp strategies. It's going to be the first one, K2 pivot scalp strategy. And I do it on the 10-minute chart. So let me show you exactly what I did. So let me just rewind it to, I mean, there's a ton of entries here, but we could probably just use this. We'll use this one. It's a good entry. And this happened yesterday at about 6. So around this time, this is when I started scalping like crazy. So this was like 6 o'clock yesterday. That's when I started hitting, yeah, so around 6 o'clock, that's when I started scalping. So you can see right here, I started locking in, you know, a couple $1,000. And then 6 o'clock right here, 6 p.m. So this entry came in around, actually, it came in around 4 because it's 1600 hours. So that's 4 o'clock my time. So if you go to, you know, my post here at 4 o'clock, that's when I started posting my profits. I started scalping it. So right here, I scalped this off this trade, or actually this early one. So this first trade right here for 3,000, I scalped this trade right here. I took this for like 1,500 pips or somewhere near it, like around there. That's how I locked in these profits right here. And then I locked in some more profits right here, another 2,500. And that was from this entry right here. I'll show you guys how I did it, but I'm just showing you guys that, you know, these profits line up with this entry here, like literally all of these. So I locked in 7,000 total right there, 8,000 total right there, you know, a couple more 100, 700, 200, again, up to 9,000. 11,000. And then this morning, I'll show you. I traded both ways. So I traded for a sell because I got a sell entry using the same strategy. And I also took buys, and they're all wins. I had no losses for like that entire day. And it's possible, you know, I did this real time. I showed you guys as the profits, but I'll show you guys how I identified that trade. So basically the strategy that I'm using is the K2 pivots strategy, scalping on the 10-minute. So first you want to identify the trend using the K2 pivots. Next, you want to identify a retracement, pullback. Lastly, identify rejection off K2 pivots area. And then lastly, identify a valid K2 signal. And then lastly, you can enter on the open of the following candle. And it's real simple, guys. I mean, so the difference with the K2 strategy and, like, you know, any other strategy, it's not subjective at all. If the requirements are met, then there's an entry. If the requirements don't all meet, then there's no entry. You know, there's no guesswork here. It's literally you just follow the rules, you know, check off the checklist, and then you're good. So I'll show you this one right here, and I'll show you that there was entries right here as well. Because I took all these entries here, and I made a lot of profit off this. Like, you literally could have taken every buy position right here and made a ton of money. So let's start down here actually, because we could go from here all the way up. All right, so we'll start from right here. So first, you want to identify the trend using the K2 pivots. In order to do that, you want to make sure that price is above the K2 pivots. The pivots are all angling in the same direction and that they're spread out. So you can see right here, price is above the pivots are spread out, and they're all angling upwards. So in this situation, we could identify this as an uptrend. So requirement 1's been met, check that off. Requirement 2, identify a retracement pullback. So you can see right here, price came up, and then it came down from right here. So when it came down, this motion right here was a retracement because price came up, then it retraced down, and that's requirement 2. Requirement 2 has been met. Requirement 3, you need to identify the rejection off the K2 pivots area. So as you can see right here, price was trending up, it retraced downwards, and then rejected right here because it established a low and then it shot back up. So requirement 1, 2, and 3 have been met. Lastly, you want to identify a valid K2 signal. Right here, we have a valid buy signal, and this is valid because it's a buy signal with a green bullish candle. It's like I mentioned before, if it's green and green, it's a valid buy. If it's red and red, it's a valid sell. Green and green, valid buy. Red and red, valid sell. This is a green and a red, it's invalid. Right here is a green and a red, also invalid. So right here, we have a valid entry. We've identified the trend, it's trending upwards. We've identified a retracement right here. We've identified a rejection right here, and we've identified a valid K2 signal right here. So once all of these are met, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So you can enter right here. And then generally, I like to put the stop loss at the previous swing, which is right here, but you can put it also at the lower pivot. So you can put it down here or down here, which would be about an 800 pip move. And then if you wanted to take the scalp move, then you can pretty much ride it all the way up. And there you go, full TP. But I'll show you guys how I scalped yesterday. This is a way that, you know, a lot of other people, well, some people know how to do this, but you have to be really skilled and very on point when doing this, because this could like make or break your account if you do it improperly. So basically what I do here is I already have this set up, right? So I'll just rewind this. All right, so we have the setup already lined up on the 10-minute. So generally, a lot of people, they'll get stopped out in profit. So generally, if it reaches like TP, like halfway TP over here, they'll move their stop loss and profit. And then they'll move their stop loss like somewhere like over here. And then if price comes down and hits it, they get stopped out. You know, a lot of people want to re-enter that trade because they want to go for the full move. So basically, the way to do that, or the way to just trade this in general, like first you'll set up the full move, right? And then what you can do is you can go on the shorter time frame and then run the same thing. But if there's no entries on the 5-minute, you can go on even the shorter time frame. Okay, so like right here, right? So say you already entered this trade for the 10-minute from earlier, right? So if you saw that entry, oh sorry guys, replay button off. So if you saw this entry on the 10-minute, you would have entered this trade on the 10-minute chart. If you wanted to scalp it even lower, you could go on the 5-minute and then do the same exact thing. You just see if the requirements fit on the lower time frame. So right here, obviously, we already know the trend is trending up, right? So next, you want to fill the other requirements. So you can see right here, we've identified an uptrend already, identify a retracement, but now we're on the 5-minute. So price came up right here, and then it retraced from up here, right? So it came up here, then it retraced down. Requirement 2 is met. Next, identify a rejection off the K2 pivot area. You can see right here, there's a rejection. So requirements 1 through 3 have been met. Lastly, identify a valid K2 signal. Right here, we have a valid buy signal. So same situation where we enter this trade, you could enter another trade right here. Same exact thing. So this is the 10-minute entry. This is the 5-minute entry. And then if you let them run, they both hit TP. So you would have hit TP for your 10-minute entry, and you also would have hit TP for your 5-minute entry. But look, it doesn't stop there. Say we'll go back to this entry again, right? So let me go back on the 10-minute. And say you wanted to go on an even lower time frame. So we've identified this range on the 10-minute. If you want to go on the lower time frame, like the 1-minute, you can do that as well. So same situation, same requirements. It's the same strategy. This is what I mean, like with the K2 strategies, they work on all time frames. You don't have to use them on one specific one. You can use it on the 30-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute, 1-minute, doesn't matter. But again, right here, so same situation. We've already identified the uptrend, right? Because price is above the pivots. Next, we're looking for a retracement. So price came up right here from the uptrend, and then it came down. There's a retracement. All right, so let me just line this up right here. All right, same thing. Identify the uptrend. We're trending up right here. Identify the retracement. Price is trending up, then it retraced up from this area right here, came down. Third requirement, identify the rejection. Price rejected off this point right here. And then lastly, identify a valid K2 signal. Right here's a valid buy signal because it's a green buy signal with a green bullish candle. So all requirements are met. You could enter on the close of that candle or the open of the falling candle. And there you go. TP. So if you took this trade on 3 different time frames, you could have had 3 wins right there. Or say if you're just following the 1-minute, right? Because we still have this range set up on the 10-minute. So the thing is, I'm trading within the 10-minute range. We've already set this trade up, and we're just going to lower time frames and scalping within that range. So right here, here's another entry, right, guys? So we've won this trade. We've won the 5-minute trade. We've won this trade as well. Same with right here. Identify. We already know the price is trending up, obviously, because we've identified it 4 times already. So price is trending up. Identify the retracement. Price shot up right here. It retraced from this point. So from this point right here, it came down. That's a retracement. Identify a rejection off the K2 pivot area. There was a rejection right here, right? Because price rejected and then it came back up. Lastly, identify a valid K2 signal. Right here, we have a valid buy signal. So all requirements have been met. Same thing. Enter the trade right there. Let it run. Or see, for this, you would have to make it a little wider because this is way too close. So even for this one right here, this is just too close. So if we enter this trade right here, this is only, was it 15 pips? And then US 30 moves in the hundreds. Like you can see the range from the 10-minute is way down here. So you would have to put the stop loss to this swing down here because this is just too close. Even though we still would have won that trade, it's still way too close. So if we move this over right here, because this would be equivalent to about 5 pips because it's to the 100. So let's move it to 575. And then right there, technically it still would have been active. But then again, right here for this entry, like I mentioned, this is just too close because it's only, I think it's like 1.7 pips because it's to the 100. So you'd have to move this like way down here or way down here. But I'd probably move it way down here, a little bit below the pivots for a 33 pips. Or I don't know if this would be considered 33 pips because like I mentioned, it's to the 100. So this would give it enough cushion for you to trade it. And then you let it run. And then see, eventually it hit. Same with this right here. So this one hit, this one hit. And this is where I mentioned that you kind of need experience when identifying, where to put your stop loss. Because if you didn't know how to put your stop loss for, this, because it's on the 1 minute chart, you have to understand like how many pips is enough pips to put your stop loss. Because if you put it too close, you'll get stopped out. And the thing with US 30 is it moves so fast that you got to have some cushion there. But like I mentioned here, let me just move this over. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'll move this over. We had this entry right here. And then while that was running, you could have entered another one right here. And then while that was running, you could have entered another one right here. So instead of having just, that one big win for the 10 minute, you could have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 with this one right here too. And this is how I scalp. This is how I made these profits because, so if you look at my profits here, you can see that the first one was a big profit. So the first win was for 3,000 because I took the full 10-minute move. And then after that, I went on the shorter time frame. So right here, I went on the 5 minute. Then I locked in only 2,500. And then for the next trades, I only locked in 850 because in that situation, I was taking these smaller trades. But obviously those trades add up. So like right here, I locked in 850. The next one 750 because you can see the huge difference. Right here was the big move. Right here was a medium move. And then these were the smaller moves right here. You can see it got smaller and smaller because I went on the shorter time frames. Again, right here, 250. This is where I started going really tight because it was during Asia session and the market was just moving too slow. Again, right here, I locked in another 700, another 800 because this is around London session. So London session, market picked up a bit. And then another 650 this morning. And then the full move this morning. So you can see the big difference. So I was trading on the bigger time frame on the 10 minute, then the 5 minute, then probably the 5 minute again. Then these were from the 1 minute. You can see they're under $1,000 profit. And then again, right here, it was 1,500 and then 1,100. So this was on the 5 minute charts. But like I mentioned, you can use the K² pivot strategy on literally any time frame. It doesn't have to be any one specific time frame. You can literally just do it on either one. Yeah, okay, so let me go through the questions. I didn't get to look at any of the questions yet, but let's see. I don't know, did this make sense to you, Antoinette, or anyone else here that was looking at it? I wasn't sure if anyone, sorry, I didn't get a chance to look at the chat while I was explaining this. But let me see. I'm just gonna go down the questions and I'm gonna skip over to just the questions that were asking about scalping. Okay, non-attendee, can you show us how you did your scalping yesterday? So yeah, this is pretty much how I did it right here. Let's see, RX here. So RX said, when scalping, do we place the trade and immediately cover the close screen option to close a trade as soon as it hits your target to avoid time from jumping from one screen? Ark, I'm kind of confused with your question. Let's see. When scalping, do we place the trade and immediately cover the close screen option to avoid time from jumping? So Ark, generally when I enter this trade, so this is why I don't recommend it for new traders because it's a little complicated. So technically you can let the trade run if you wanted to, but me personally, so like if I was taking this trade right here, right? Once price reaches a certain point where it seems like enough profit, and the way that I determine that is by looking at my profit. So like right here, when I was taking these smaller trades, I was like, all right, I'm hitting 800. I was like at $1,000 in profit, right? Once I got to $1,000 in profit, I just moved my stop loss manually close to where price was. That's why in that situation, if it was to come down like it did right here, it would have stopped me out in profit. And that's how I locked in these profits right here for like 800, because once I saw it get to 1,000, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna move my stop loss in profit somewhere over here so that if price comes down, it'll stop me out. And I'm fine with that because there's another entry right here, and that's where I would re-enter the trade. So this isn't something for beginners. Like, you know, I know you guys see the profits and you guys get super excited and want to trade like how I'm doing, but like I know what I'm doing when I'm trading. Like you don't have, you know, these are each 1 minute candles. So you have like a few seconds in between each candle to determine what you're going to do next. You know, are you going to let your trade run? Are you going to move your stop loss and profit? You know, this is something that you learn over time that you have to really practice and practice and practice until you actually get it down. Because the thing when you're scalping, you don't have time to think. Literally 1 second you could be in profit, the other second you could be in the negative. So if you don't move your stop loss and profit fast enough, you're going to get screwed. But if you do it profitably, like if you do it properly, then you can be very profitable to trading this like once a day or a few times a day. But yeah, Art, there's no simple answer to your question. I mean, for the most part, I move my stop loss just because I feel I have like some sort of intuition. So if I see price come up and then I see huge red candle, I'm like, oh crap, all right, I should get out of this trade. So I move my stop loss and profit and then I get out. Same situation right here. So if I enter this trade right here, and then you can see how price came down, right? So technically I could have rolled it all the way to the top, but with, you know, my expertise in trading, when I saw this huge red candle right here, I was like, all right, crap, I should move my stop loss and profit somewhere over here so that I can, you know, get out of this trade. So that's pretty much what happened. That's why I got out right here. And that's why my profits were smaller. So it went from, you know, went from 850 to 750 to 250. You know, I was manually adjusting my stop loss because when you're scalping, it's more so about, you know, you locking in your gains and not losing. Because the thing is, if you take a loss, that's going to be a big loss. So you're better off just like locking in your profits when you can, because there's going to be multiple entries right here. So you can see right here, I moved my stop loss, got stopped out in profit. Move my stop loss, got out in profit. Same situation right here. Move my stop loss, get out in profit. There's another entry right here. You know, it's literally like never ending. So if you want to scalp like I do, I recommend you practice this a lot. Like don't just jump into live, because the thing is your emotions are going to get involved, and the thing is you're not going to want to close your trade. Like how when I trade, I move my stop loss and profit because I see this huge red candle. I'm like, all right, crap, I should get out of this trade. But you know, not everyone has thick skin or as much experience trading where you can move your stop loss. You're going to get greedy and you're going to be like, no, I'm going to let it run. But you know, this isn't going to be as smooth as it looks right here, like all the time. You know, I just identified that the market was very bullish, so that's why I was like, okay, I'm just going to scalp within. But this isn't always the case. But let's see. All right, cool. So let me keep going down the questions. I'm gonna skip the questions and I'm gonna go only to the ones that are asking about US 30. Just, you know, while I'm on here, I'm gonna come back to your guys' question. I'm just looking at any of the specific questions regarding this right now since I'm on here. Anonymous attendees asking how do you get the K2 indicators? So let me see if I could here, I'm gonna post it in the chat. Post it right over here. All right, so just look in the chat. The links are there. If you want to get the indicators, you'd have to sign up to the K2 strategies, and then you'll have access to all 4 indicators, or 5 indicators actually. Let me keep going down. Cindy's asking, how much are you risking when you're scalping? So for me, I'm trading on FTMO, and this account is a 100K account. So I'm risking, you know, your risk is going to depend on your stop loss. So I have a specific area for stop loss in the, sorry guys, I'm going to move this over. Okay, now we're good. All right, cool. So let me go back to the question. So what you're risking is going to depend on where your stop loss is. Generally, where I put my stop loss is going to be where the 10-minute is. So this is 800 pips. So it would depend, because if I'm scalping, obviously the stop loss is tighter. It's like 500 pips. If I'm taking the bigger move, it's like 800 pips. So when I'm risking, it could be between 1,000, 2,000. I don't know. It just really depends on how big your stop loss is, because these are. Sorry, I'm gonna try to move this over. See, I was trading 35 lots there, and then I was trading 50 lots here. So for the 35 lots up there, in order to calculate that, that's going to be 3.5 times 800. So I was risking 2,800 on that specific trade for this one right here. So I risked 2,800 to make 3,640 or more. And then, the 50 lot. So if I was doing 5 times, how many pips is that? Like 300 pips. So 5 times 300. See, I was risking 7,500 on that, but that's a scalp. This is why I don't recommend people scalp if you guys don't know what you're doing, because it's high risk. But it's only high risk if you don't know what you're doing. Like if you do it properly, then the risk isn't there, because obviously look, there's straight wins because I know what I'm doing. But that's why I don't recommend, if you don't know what you're doing, don't scalp. Figure out how to intraday trade, or trade on the lower time frames before you scalp, because the thing is, it's a high risk, high reward. But if you don't know what you're doing, it could be more risk than reward. But yeah, so let me keep going. Sierra is asking, does it matter what color the pivot that it should reject off? No, Sierra. So pretty much, if it rejects off any of the pivot areas, the lower it goes and rejects. So if it comes down like to this area and it rejects, then it's going to be stronger than if it rejects up here. You can see price came down, it rejected off this point, but then it came down further. Similarly right here, the farther it comes down and rejects, the stronger the correction is. So you can see right here, price came down from here, retraced, and then it rejected off the lowest time frame. So once it rejected off here, it shot straight up. Similarly right here, price came down, it rejected like way down here, but then it shot straight up. Compared to if it was rejecting off the first pivot up here, it's not a very strong rejection. So there's no specific pivot it needs to reject off. It just needs to reject off that specific area. But okay, let me keep going down the questions. James said, when you are scalping, do you do a market execution when the candle closes because of how quick you can move? Yeah, James. So when I'm scalping, I pretty much do all market execution, even for executing the trade sometimes. So generally, if this candle closes right here, I already have my finger on the buy button. So as soon as it closes, I hit buy. And then as it moves up, I'll just adjust my stop loss. So I'll put my stop loss somewhere down here initially. And then as price moves up, I'll like trail the stop loss with it manually. So as price goes up to like, let's see, right here is 27,822. I'll probably move my stop loss to 27,820, like a 0.2 pip move away, because with FTMO, we have like zero spread for the most part. So that's why, we're able to move stop loss like that close and not get stopped out. And then if price is like way up here and then I see this big drop, instead of moving my stop loss in profit, I'll just manually close it. So it just really depends on how you want to trade. But me personally, I think you're better off just using market execution. The only problem is that if you're not too experienced with, scalping, you're gonna hit market execution like too early. Like you're gonna either hit it too early or you're gonna hit it too late, because if you start bleeding, like right here, you start bleeding off this, you're not gonna want to close your trade out. And that's why it comes with a lot of practice, because sometimes you just have to close out in profit. You don't just hang on to it and then wait for it to come down here where you're in the negative and you're like, shit, I should have just closed up here. And that just comes with time. Like once you build thick skin trading, then you'll be good. But yeah, me personally, I do market execution for pretty much everything. Let's see. Anonymous attendees asking, how do you determine TP? So we trade on a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So if I was to enter this trade right here, if my stop loss was 260 pips, my TP would be 260 pips. But like I mentioned, whenever price moves in profit, I move my stop loss in profit with it. So it's not always going to be a 1-to-1. Like once price reaches profit, It could be like a 1-0 or a 2-0. It just really depends on when you move your stop loss. Anonymous attendees asking how much do you risk in a 1 minute time frame. So it just depends on how big the move is. So if the move's right here, this might be like $2,000. It just really depends on your lot size. So your risk is going to reflect on your profit. So if you're not risking a lot, you're not going to make a lot of profit. It just really depends on you. What's your risk tolerance? Obviously, if you're going to be risking very little, or if your stop loss is out here, but then you're using like a very small lot size, obviously your risk isn't going to be that much, and your account size isn't going to be the same as mine. So there's really no comparison there. It would just depend on what type of account you're trading, and what type of risk can you take on, because generally we only recommend to risk 1 to 3%. So if you're trading like $1,000 account, 1 to 3% is going to be a few bucks, few cents. Somalia asked, is this a scalping strategy? Somalia, did you just join? We actually just went over it, so you might have missed it, but there's going to be a replay for this webinar later on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. Or if you're on YouTube now, you can just rewind the replay and you can watch it. But I'm not going to go over it right now. I might go over it again later because we spent way too much time on that already. But I'll come back to it later if we have extra time. But yeah, so this is the scalping strategy. These are the requirements. If you sign up to the course, it's explained over here in detail. If you go to K² Trade Scalping Strategies, click on the K² Trades, K² Pivot Scalping Strategy. And then there'll be a detailed video here explaining how it's done. So if you have access to the course, it's available to you. And this is free. If you guys want to sign up for the free course and just see how it's done, just go to our website, k2trades.com, click on unlock your free access now, and then you can sign up right there. And then you can have access to all these videos. You won't have access to the indicators, but you'll have access to the video so you can still see, how everything's done. But okay, let me keep going through. Keith said the scalp is possible for SPX, since I know it goes to at least. Yeah, Keith, you can use it for any asset really. You can use it for US 30. You can use it for the Aussie 200. There's still entries right here. So you could have had that win right there. Could have had that win right there. Could have had this one right here. So that's the Aussie. The German DAX, same situation here. Enter that. Could have made some profit up there. But let's go on the 10-minute. The 1 minute is just too it's too choppy. But yeah, I mean the strategy works on all time frames. So if you use it on the DAX here, you could have hit profit there. You could have hit profit there. I mean, there's a ton of ways to apply it. You can use it on literally anything. See, Anthony P said, is there an option to pay in order to get hours signals? Anthony, I don't know what you mean by that question. Do you mean like these indicators on the chart? Because if you have access to the course, you'll have these indicators, so you can apply it on the hourly if you want to. You can see that it works here on the hourly too. Like right here, there's an entry. Obviously right here, there's an entry. I'm not sure if you're talking about signals because I don't trade on the 1 hour chart. So you wouldn't be getting them on that 1 hour. You'd be getting them on the 4 hour because I normally trade on the 4 hour time frame. But yeah, Keith, so yeah, just looking at this here, you can see that there's a ton of entries, depending on, well, it doesn't even depend on the asset, because you can use it on US 30, you can use it on the DAX, you can use it on the S&P. Same situation here, S&P. Take this buy, win right there. Take this buy, win right there. Take this buy. I mean, you can literally do this all day. But you're better off doing this when something's trending, because obviously you want a smooth trend up. You don't want something where it's super choppy. Like right here, I wouldn't trade once price is in this area. Once price came down, it filled the requirement right here. You could have entered a sell, and then you would have won that too. You obviously want to trade it when it's smooth, because if you trade something that's choppy, like see, it was choppy right here. This area is choppy. You don't want to trade in this area. But once price breaks below, like it did over here, you can start trading, sells right here. But yeah, first requirement, identify the trend. It has to be pretty clear that's trending before you take a trade in that direction. Let's see. Amanda said, can you give an example of when you wouldn't enter and how you determine when your scalping session is done? Generally, I think my scalping session's done when I take a loss. So let me just going from right here, right? So if we took this entry, it would have been a win for 1,500 pips. If I took this entry right here, obviously another win. Obviously right here, another win. Right here, another win. Because the thing is, the way that we trade off momentum. So if momentum is there and it keeps hitting, odds are it's going to keep on hitting. Again, right there, a win. Again, right there, a win. Like, you could literally keep doing this until you lose, because odds are you'll probably have like a ton of wins before you have any losses, and then that'll just balance out. So again, right there. So okay, so here's a good example. Sorry, let me move this back. So for here, I probably would have moved my stop loss and profit once we reach this area. Actually, it's not a good example because we would have exited all these trades. So like right here, you can see right here that price goes into profit pretty deeply. So if it goes in profit deeply, I move my stop loss already. Same with right here. I move my stop loss. I was trying to find a bad trade, but there wasn't really a bad one here. But okay, so say you entered this trade right here and you didn't move your stop loss and profit. So you came up, you wanted to get that full profit, right? Once I took this loss right here, at this point, price is already the price has swung in the other direction. So now price is trending down. At that point, I'm not taking any more trades because the requirements aren't met anymore. So this is basically when I know when to stop, because obviously you can't take any more buys if price is trending the opposite direction. You can only take sells. But as you can see right here, there were no sell entries. Technically, there's a sell entry right here, but this isn't valid because identifying the trend, there's no overall trend here. The price is all, the pivots are pretty much crossing over right here, but they're not spread out like they are over here, and they're not spread out like they are over here. So that's the main difference. So at that point, that's when you would stop. Or if you took a loss. So if you took a loss right here because you didn't move your stop loss and profit, then you would have gone out. And then you would have just stopped because there's no entry over here. But yeah, so let me keep going down the questions. Let me see if there's anything else here. YD Bimbo is asking, is it best to use a K² pivot strategy on my mobile or a desktop? So it would obviously be on your desktop because you can do all this charting on here. I mean, you can do the same thing on your phone, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be as easy for you to plot everything on the chart as it is, using a desktop. However, you can use both of them. It doesn't really matter because it's the same thing. It's just going to be harder for you to follow the chart. You can't like stare at the chart and follow it, and then try to do all this stuff on your phone while putting in the trade, because you're going to have to open up your other app to put in your trade. So if you can do it, then yeah, it's cool. But I don't think you should do all this on your phone, because if you're scalping, price is moving way too fast. By the time you move from platform to platform, you're going to miss the entire trade. So I personally don't recommend doing it on your phone, but if that's what you have to do, then I mean, you can do it as well. It still works. Amy said, so 101 base entering on the next candle. Yeah, Amy. So if you're following like, one of these entries over here, like say this one right here, right? There's no buy signal there yet. On the next one, there's a buy signal. So as soon as this closes, you can enter a market buy right here, and then you can get into the trade. But there's no specific, obviously you want to get in like right at this price, like right when it closes, but it's not necessary. Like you can get in like a few pips later or a few pips late. It just, if you want prime entry, obviously you want to get in like right after it closes. Signal on US 30. All right, RX Max. Let's see. RX said, do you think, sorry, 1 second, guys. RX said, do you think I can set my stop loss in TP and that will be okay with a win or loss? Because average, I will win more than lose and let the wins outweigh the losses. Or would I pass just by waiting for TP? I mean, honestly, Ark, it's going to be a personal decision whether that's what you want to do. I mean, it will work, but the thing is, how many, like, that's just not how you trade, properly, like with proper risk management. The thing is, if you let trades run to 100% every single time, you can't guarantee that that's going to happen every single time. Like you could have the worst luck in the world, and you can take like, I'm trying to look for bad trades here because I want to show you guys that this isn't 100%. Like this still, you could still lose when you're like, no matter how profitable the strategy is or how high win percentage, you can just have the worst luck and you can enter when the market's not moving the way you want to. Okay, so like right here, if you enter this trade and you let it run to full TP, you probably would have lost. Or let's see, this is what the actual swing is, about 719, or we'll do 700. See, like at this point right here, you were in profit already like 600 pips, but because you want to let the trade run, you would have lost. You just basically threw away 600 pips right here because you could have locked in these pips. But then if you let it run, you would have hit stop loss, obviously. And then right here, this would have been a win, obviously. A win right here. See, the thing with the market recently is that it's been good. Like this is how the market normally moves. It's easier for us to take these trades. So and the thing with you, Ark, you're not going to take every single trade. Like you could have taken this loss right here, and then you could have skipped all these wins right here. And then you could have taken this trade right here, and then you would have taken another loss. So unless you're going to take every single trade, then I wouldn't do that. There's a reason why we use proper risk management to eliminate these losses. Because if you, like, say if you locked in this win right here, right? And then you locked in this win, this win, this win, and then you locked in, a partial win right here, then that would have been fine. Instead of you having, one loss right here, and then you miss these 3 trades, and then you have another loss right here because you didn't want to move your stop loss. I mean, if you want to be a serious trader, you have to actually monitor your trades. Like this isn't something where you could just, technically you could just place your trade and let it run. But if you want to be consistently profitable long term, you're going to have to actually put in some work. Like, it's not going to be automatic guaranteed win every single time. But it's really up to you. If that's what you want to do, you can do it and it could probably work. But it's not something that I'm ever going to recommend to anyone because, like I mentioned right here, could have been a loss. You could have missed these 3 wins right here, and then you taken this one right here, and then you would have taken another loss, and then you could have taken, another trade over here. Actually, this wouldn't be a trade, but these right here would have been wins. So I'm trying to find areas in the market where it's not moving as smooth as it did, the past couple weeks. So obviously these would have been a lot of wins. But look, if you traded somewhere like right here, so you would have taken a loss right there. You'd have tried taking this one right here again too. You'd have taken a loss right there. It just really depends, you know, like the thing is, like trading isn't a game. Like if you want to be good at trading, you have to really trade and you have to really put effort into it. You can't just set a trade and then, you know, pray that it's going to hit TP. I mean, that's like wishful thinking, honestly. But I mean, if that's how you want to trade, it's possible, because if you look at all the trades here, these all hit TP. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that, you know, the market isn't going to be like this 100% of the time. It's only going to be like this every so often. And when it does happen, you have to be able to capitalize on it. But yeah, let me keep going. Let's see. Amy said, why do you choose US 30 and not NASDAQ or S&P? Because US 30 is worth more and it moves the fastest and it's the smoothest. So the thing is, if you're trading, you know, S&P is like the US 30's little brother. Like it's not worth as much, and it just doesn't move as smoothly. So you can see right here, you can see it's a bit more choppy right here. So like right here, it's choppy. But over here for US 30, it's pretty smooth. And that's why I prefer to choose to trade US 30, and it's worth more. So it's like, you know, if you're good at trading something, you know, just stick to it. A lot of people like to trade all the different indices and then they end up failing at everything because they're, you know, they're doing way too much. Like if you're good at a specific asset, then just focus on that one asset. Like I'm really good at US 30 and that's why I focus on it. And it's worth more and it moves the fastest. It's very volatile, and you know, it almost always hits when I trade it. And that's why I personally choose to trade US 30. And that's what I recommend. Even with Forex, even like, although I trade all these different pairs, I do have my favorites. Like I know like what I'm gonna take it. And then I know it's gonna hit because it's a trade that always, asset that I trade and it always hits. Like, so if I'm trading like the majors, like odd USD, Euro USD, I'm like, all right, those are gonna hit. Same with indices. If I'm trading US 30, I'm like, all right, that's gonna hit. You know, I don't trade oil, I don't trade gold, even though a lot of people trade that, because that's just not what I'm good at. And you know, if you don't like to trade US 30 and you like to trade S&P, then you can focus on S&P. It just really depends on your trading style. Zuby said KT Trade's ignoring me on Zoom. Zuby, bro, wait your turn, dude. There's like 17 questions here. I mean, you came in late, bro. If you wanted your questions answered, should have came in earlier. But I'll get to your questions, bro. Just wait. Let me keep going through here. Let's see. Dang, Zuby, you like flooded the thing. Check chat. Check chat. Hey, bro. All right, bro. I'll get to you eventually. Just give me some time. There's a lot of other people here that have been waiting already. Okay, so I'll just answer your question real quick. Yes, it works on FX pairs. Yeah, no, because you have the Q&A, Zuby. So, you know, there's a lot of people here that are waiting because I've been going over the pivot strategy. But here, I'll just show it to you real quick. I'm not going to go in detail because I don't want to skip everyone's questions. But let me just show you real quick. So run that on a regular pair one time, like EU. Yeah, so, you know, look in EU right here. If you, obviously it's not trending right here, but right here it's trending. So once price broke above it and then it, you know, it spread out, price retraced back, rejected right here. This would have been an entry right here. Again, right here. So price isn't trending right here. So you wouldn't have taken any of these entries except right here. So this would be an entry because you can see the pivots were spread out. They're all angling up. So price is trending up. There was a retracement from up here all the way down, a rejection right here, and then a buy signal. So you could have entered a buy signal right there. And then that would have hit TP for, I guess, 11 pips right there. Same with, so this is an invalid signal. We wouldn't have taken that trade. But right here, so you can see price came down. The pivots are angled in the same direction and they're spread out. So price is trending down, retracement up right here, rejection off this point, sell signal. Once you saw that, you could take in a short position, and then you could have taken that right there. And then again right here. So it looks like price would have reached halfway to TP, so you would have moved stop loss and profit, and you would have caught that right there. Same with this one right here. So it looks like price reached 50% right here. You probably would have moved stop loss and profit, or if not, you would have taken a loss. But these two would have been wins. And it works on all assets. So this is just your USD. You can go to what else like people like to trade? Gold. So if you want to trade gold, same situation here. So price came down. It came up right here. So price was trending down right here because the pivots are angling down and they're spread out. So price is trending down. There was a retracement right here, rejection off this point, sell signal. When she got that, enter a sell. And then you would have hit TP right there for, I don't know, 400 pips or 46 pips. I'm not sure how gold moves because I don't trade it. But yeah, it works on all assets. But you just got, like, the main thing is you want to make sure that price is trending pretty heavy. Because if it's crossing over like this, obviously the trend isn't that strong. And you can use the K² trend meter down here also to give you extra confirmation. But it works on all assets. You don't have to use it just on US30. You can use it on, any indice or any Forex pair for that part, except for the slow moving ones. So like for EG, technically it would work here, but me personally, it doesn't move fast enough for me to want to take these trades because, last thing you want to do is take a trade like, let's see, like this one right here, and then hang on to it for like 3 days. Like you want to make sure you're trading something that moves fast. Nazi, I saw your message, bro. It's all good. Yeah, I don't think you guys could see the Q&A. That's why, because there's a there's a list that I see here, but then I saw I saw Zubi's on the bottom. But yeah, so yeah, pretty much this works on pretty much everything. Let me see if there's any other questions that are specifically asking about US30 or the strategy. Anonymous attendees asking, does K² pivots work on scalping gold? Yes, it does. So as long as there's volatility in the market, then you can use it. So you can see right here, price is trending down. But gold is a little choppy, so it's a little different. Because it's hard for you to really identify when price is like, really trending. Like right here, obviously price was trending heavy. So you could have taken that one and that would have been a win. Again, right here, you can see price was trending up pretty heavy. And then you could have taken that too. But you would have to really know the asset. I wouldn't use the strategy specific, like just use it like on any asset and not understand how the asset moves. You have to like actually understand how it moves. Because the thing is, if you're trading a pair that ranges, so like with gold, it moves directional. So like right here, obviously you can take these trades. So price comes up, retracement, rejection, buy signal, you enter a buy there. Same right here. Price shoots up, retracement right here, rejection down here, buy signal, enter a buy right there. Again, right here, price comes up, retraces, rejects, buy signal, you enter a buy right there. And so on. It works across the board pretty much. And they all hit TP. Except for this one. So this one, I don't trade gold, so I don't know, what maybe the stop loss was too wide because this is like 1,700 pips. Maybe it should have been right here. So price was right here at about 800 pips. It looks like it would have hit TP. But I don't trade, like I mentioned, I don't trade gold anymore. So if you know like how it moves, then you would set your stop loss and TP, according to that specific asset. But like I mentioned, I don't trade gold, so I don't know what would be a good stop loss. But okay, so let me go back to the rest of the questions. Let's see, so we got all right. So Tiffany said, can we look at JIR 30? So let me go to JIR 30. Generally, when I analyze a chart, I like to go on the 4-hour chart. So if you want me to analyze it on a specific time frame, feel free to let me know, and then I can change the time frame. But for me, I like to look at the overall picture. So I'm gonna analyze it on the 4 hour. Let's see. Aaron's here. Aaron, you back? He's muted. Yeah, Tiffany. Depending on what time frame you want, you can let me know if you want me to change it. But I'll just go over the 4 hour right now. So I'll show you guys how I initially analyze the chart. So from scratch. So basically, the way that I analyze the chart is I will look for points of rejection. I'll turn on the K2SR indicator, and then you can see right here that there's points of rejections right here. So I'll just outline my zones around the nearest areas where price is. Just so that I know where not to trade. Obviously you don't want to trade in areas where price might reject from. So once I have that down, I'll hide the K2SR indicator. And there you go. It gives you a nice lineup as to where price rejects from. You can see price comes up, rejects off this point, comes down, rejects off this point, where this kind of extends out here. Rejects off this point, comes up, rejects off this point, rejects off this point, it breaks, and then it comes back up. So first and foremost, this is what I do. I try to identify the zones where not to trade, or areas where price might be rejecting from. And then after that, I turn on the K2 pivots so that I can see where price is trending. So like I mentioned before, when price is above the pivots, then obviously that's a trend upwards. If price is below, it's trending down. If it's moving within, that's consolidation. If it moves up, it's trending up, consolidation, a drop down right here, but then a push back up. So since price is currently above the K2 pivots, I would look at this from a bullish bias. So in this situation, I only want to take buy entries because, obviously you want to trade in the direction of the trend. So right here, after I've identified that, identify that there's a zone right here, price is trending up, I'm only going to be looking for buys. I'll turn on the momentum indicator. So you can see right here that we have a sell momentum right here. So this is indicating that, price is retracing downwards, but it's retracing in the direction of the trend. So it's going opposite of the trend. So what I'm anticipating here is that once I get a buy signal, like I did right here, if we get a buy signal right here, then I anticipate it to shoot on upwards to test the zone right here, because you can see it tested it up here, and then it's probably going to test it again for a double top. So that would be my edge in the market. So I'm not going to take this trade because there's no edge, there's no catalyst. So, once I get a buy signal, then it's going to tell me, it's time to enter this trade. But currently right now, it looks like it's trying to, break above it. And then once it breaks above it far enough, then we'll get a buy signal, and then we could take that trade. But yeah, currently just looking at it right now, it just doesn't look like there's any entry. Let me go on the lower time frame. So looking at this on the lower time frame, there's actually a scalp entry right here. So we're looking on the 10-minute. There's actually a scalp entry right here, because if you remember the requirements for the K2 pivot strategy, basically you want to identify that price is trending up. But as you can see here, it's not trending up that strong because the pivots aren't angling up. So just looking at the pivots right here, you can see that the green pivot is angling down. So technically it wouldn't really fulfill the requirements. But overall, so let me just rewind to the specific candle. All right, so looking at the candle right here, it looks like it may be trending up, but it's not really angling up. It's kind of just going sideways, but it's not angling straight up, like what we're generally looking for. But if you identify this as a pivot entry, because obviously price is sort of trending up, there was a retracement right here, and then there's a small rejection on this point. It's not a strong rejection, so this isn't a strong entry, but it's still a rejection. So once you have that, you have the buy signal right here. You could have entered a buy right there. So the stop loss would probably be somewhere down here for about like 900 pips or whatever. I'm just gonna round it. And then now we're anticipating this to shoot upwards. So technically this might be a good buy. You know, I can't say because I don't trade the DAX. So I don't know how this moves exactly, but this would sort of qualify for, you know, a valid buy entry. But it doesn't look like, you know, price was really trending like all day today or yesterday, because you can see right here price was in consolidation pretty much this whole time, and then it had a random spike up and then more consolidation on both sides. So the problem with this trade right here is that it might be in consolidation again right here. Like it doesn't really show that it's moving directional, you know? If it's moving directional, like straight down here or straight up here, so you can see right here, price move directional. You know, down, up, down, and then sideways, and then directional, and then directional, and then again sideways. So, you know, this might be a little issue because there's no real direction. So it could either break out upwards and continue in the upwards direction, or it can swing down and move in this direction. So the DAX is just, it's a really tricky pair to trade right now. I would probably wait until London session to trade it because there's just no volatility. You can see that it's not even really moving. It's having these random spikes in price, but it's not necessarily moving in a certain direction. But, you know, like I mentioned earlier on the 4-hour, just by looking at how it's set up, it looks like it would have a bullish bias. So if you're looking to enter this trade, I would enter a buy, but I would wait until, you know, we got a buy signal here, because it's still not, it still hasn't appeared. So there's like really no catalyst to enter this trade if you're entering it on the 4-hour. But yeah, I mean, that goes DAX for right now. But it's just going to be slow throughout Asia session. I personally I just wouldn't risk it. It's just too risky. Tiffany's asking, what time frames are you calling signals from? So I call all the signals off the 4-hour time frame. And the strategy that I use for that is I use the, go back. For the signals, I use the K2 zone trading strategy. So I use that, and I also match it up with the K2 pivots because they usually line up together. Those are the two main ones that I use on here. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for that question. Let's see if there's anything else. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Where are you? Like a cave, bro?
In my car.
Oh, you're in your car. That sounds like that.
You know, trying to hide from the dogs, bro.
You're hiding from the dogs? All right, let me see.
Yes, sir. Yeah, don't go. You said what?
Nothing. I'm going through the Q&As right now.
All right.
Denise just said, in order to get those indicators and learn how to use them, which package? We need the package, right? Yeah. So you need you would need access to the indicators to, you know, to actually trade them. If you're on the free course, you'll have access to the videos so you can see how we trade and, you know, all the basics, but you don't have access to the indicators. You can't actually, you know, apply the strategies yourself. But yeah, I mean, you would have to have an access to the, or you'd have to have an active subscription, you know, in order to apply the strategies. See, Angel said, what do you do if the trend meter is blue for a long time? So, Angel, so if it's blue, I mean, you just have to be patient, because the thing is, you don't want to force any trades. You know, you only want to trade when price is actually trending. So if price, like if it's blue, you're not going to want to trade because it's going sideways. So you can see right here, it's blue. You don't want to trade during this time because you're just going to be stuck holding that trade, and you're not going to, you know, really make profit because it's just going to keep bouncing back and forth. So, you know, if you don't have an edge, just don't trade and just wait for an edge. Like right here. So like right here, you had a sell signal. You could have taken this sell right here. But so if the trend meter is blue and you still want to trade, just use the pivots. Because if you use the pivots, you can see right here that it'll give you, you know, the trend for that specific time frame. The thing with the trend meter is that it gives you the overall trend. So if you're trading, you know, if you're trying to trade when market isn't trending, which it doesn't trend most of the time, it only trends like, you know, 10, 20% of the time. And then the 80% is just going sideways. Then you'd probably be better off just looking at the trend on the pivots, although, you know, they usually line up. So like you can see right here, you know, it's green, and it lines up. All the settings are off on this. Yeah, so they're the correct settings right there. But you know, you can see right here when it's green and green, you know, it's a nice win. Green and green, nice win. Red and red, or red and red, nice win right there too. See, you wouldn't take a sell. So if you took a sell right here and it's blue, you would have had a straight loss. And, you know, that's why you have to be patient for an actual entry. Like you definitely don't want to force any entries. I mean, that's like one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they trade. You know, they try to force trades all the time when there's nothing there. You definitely want to only trade when there's something there. Okay, Angel said, could you please look at gold? The momentum strategy shows it's going down. So let's go.
Excuse me.
Gold. So I think Angel is using momentum strategy. Yeah, it looks like it's going down. So let me see. If you're using the momentum strategy, that would be on the 30-minute, I'm assuming. You can use it on other time frames, but yeah. So if you were to take, you know, an entry using the momentum strategy, so it would have been like right here. So this would have been an entry right here, right? Because these didn't match. So you would have entered a sell right here. And then it looks like when it actually hit, you would have hit TP. Or let's see, your stop loss would probably be up here. Previous swing. So if you took that momentum entry right here, Angel, it would have won. There's another momentum entry right here, but it shouldn't have filled yet. But it looks like it's way too far out. So like me personally, I wouldn't hang on to it. Because generally when you take the momentum entry, it's not supposed to retrace for a long time. It's supposed to just retrace temporarily. You can see right here, price, the momentum went in the opposite direction of the trend, and then it came straight back down, right? So if you're looking at this right here, this didn't come straight back down. So, you know, this could be going on for a long time. So me personally, I wouldn't take this trade because the entry was supposed to happen over here. You're already holding this trade for 6 hours and 30 minutes. It's almost like an entire day. It's like an entire session already. So, you know, if it hasn't filled in that much time, then it's probably time for you to look for something else, because it's probably not going to fill. And if it does fill, it'll be way too late. So at that point, price might come down a little bit, fill it, and then hit your stop loss, because you can see right here, the trend isn't even trending down anymore. It turned blue. So me personally, I wouldn't take this trade right here. Let's see what else we got here. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna get some water. All right, guys, I'm back. So let's see. We've got a bunch of US 30 signals. Let's see. Nice. So it looks like we're about to hit full TP on US 30. Probably want to get a buy signal. It'll probably shoot up. For you know whoever's in this trade, we called this trade earlier today. This is the US entry. So it looks good overall. Let me see if there's anything else here. Okay, we have one more question from Amanda. Amanda's asking, can you go over alerts also? So Amanda, so if you want to set alerts, I'm not sure if you have access to the indicators, Amanda, but if you want to set alerts like those alerts that I keep getting right here, basically what you'll do is you'll click alert up here. You'll click on K2TS, which is the momentum indicator. And then, you know, generally I like to have it once per bar close because I only want to signal when it's actually valid and it closes. But some people like once per bar. So it just really depends on your preference. And then you can set, you know, whatever alerts you want there. So for this, you can put like US 30 K2 signal fired or something like that and hit create. And then it sets an alert. So pretty much whenever one of these momentum signals come up, I'll get an alert that pops up, like the one that you saw earlier, where it says, you know, US 30, whatever appeared. But you would need access to the K2 indicators in order for, you know, for you to have that. But yeah, it looks like that's it for our questions. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know. You know, otherwise, I'm going to scan the charts for any entries for the 6 p.m. Candle close. And see if we can take any entries. Let me check the news again if there's anything today. There's Aussie news at 6:30. Looks like construction work done. I'm not really sure if it really affects the market. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the fundamentals. Wade's not here. I know Wade does, but me personally, I don't know if this really affects it that much. But I mean, who cares? I'm still gonna look for entries. Actually, let me see our active trades. So our UCAD is in profit. It's rejecting off the SR again down here. So it might shoot up, but I'm hoping it just shoots down to hit full TP. See what else we got here. Odd NZD. So our odd NZD is back in profit. I took a small position on it right here. I'm like literally at break even, but I'm anticipating it to shoot up further. So I'm gonna hang on to that. And then our Euro USD. You know, I forgot to set alerts for this.
Hey, Shawn, you eating?
Yeah, bro, you can hear me chewing?
Yeah.
My bad. US 3012. I'm in a US 30 EU. So
Hey, I know JPY, the JPY pairs are bullish right now.
Oh yeah, so we want to take some buys.
I was looking at both CJs, the GJ, EJ, they're all bullish.
Yeah, I was looking at EJ.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Let me check right now. Yeah, I didn't know you could hear me chewing. Was I chewing loud?
I mean, like,
You can just hear me chewing?
something like that.
Oh man, gross. All right, let's go. We got all my alerts set up for EU. So if we hit TP1, TP2, stop loss, full TP, then I'll know. So there we go. We good right there. All right, so let me just go through the pairs again. GU, nothing there. Odd CAD, nothing there. Nothing there for odd CHF. So this is the zone trading strategy. I'm just gonna go over real quick for the people that don't know, because this is what I'm looking for here. So this is the K2 zone trading strategy. For one, identify momentum, K2 momentum indicator. Two, identify breaking close past K2SR level, and then lastly enter on open falling candle. Real simple. I'm showing you guys what I'm looking for here. So basically, for this trade right here, this is like what Aaron was just mentioning with the JPY pairs. Basically, you want to identify momentum. In order to do that, you want to see what the most recent K2 signal was and if it was valid. So right here we have a valid buy signal, and obviously you can see momentum swung up pretty strong, right? So right now we have a bullish bias right here. We would only take buy entries because momentum is still going upwards. Next, you want to identify a breaking close past the K2SR level. So if this candle right here closes above this level, then it would fulfill both requirements and satisfy a buy entry right there. So right here, take that buy. But only if it closes. So let me show you an example of a previous entry. So right here, same thing. We have buy momentum. You see right here, price broke up, but then there was a zone right here, so we would have taken it. Right here, it's within the zone, we would have taken it. But right here, this is another entry, which probably could have been a pretty decent one. So right here, for 300 pips, this technically would have been, a valid buy entry if we took that trade, but we didn't. So if this appears down up here, then it could be a good entry. But yeah, there's nothing there right now, so I'll just keep looking. Our odd NZs keeps playing. I was gonna call this odd USD, but it was way past the entry. Let's see. CAD CHF, nothing here. If this closes below, then yeah, I'd take a sell, but currently I wouldn't take anything. I didn't take this trade right here because I think there was news during that time. Let's keep looking. CAD JPY, same situation with odd JPY. I'm just gonna mark them so I know to look back at them later. But yeah, odd JPY, CAD JPY. If this breaks above the K2SR, then there'd be a buy entry right there. But I'm not sure if I see that happening. CHF JPY, same strategy that I explained earlier. We have a buy momentum candle right here. So momentum swinging up, that's our bias. We wait for price to break and close above or past the K2SR level. So it broke past this level right here. So this would have provided for a valid buy entry. Technically, it'd still be active, if we took that trade, but we didn't take that one. Euro odd, nothing there because it's rejecting off the K2SR. Euro CAD, let me check the SRs. Yeah, so this could have possibly been a good entry because we could have rode this down for about 45 pips, but it's right at the support right here, support resistance. So the problem with this is that, price is likely to reject off it. So that's why I wouldn't take an entry here. I would take it out here in the open where there's no K2SR levels. Because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade, like say you enter a sell, and then right after you enter it, strong rejection off it. Then you're going to be screwed. But yeah, let's go to the next one. There's a, sorry, that was Aaron. I don't mute him. So like right here, there's a, technically, if there was a sell signal here, there might have been an entry within the zones. But like I mentioned, there's too many zones right here that are within the K2SR. So last thing you want to do is enter a trade, like a sell, but then ends up rejecting off it like that. So that's why we wouldn't have taken this trade. EG, nothing there. EJ. Oh man, Aaron, look, we missed this one. This would have been a good buy right here. Same requirements from earlier. You know, we have the buy momentum right here. Price broke and close above the K2SR level. This sort of provided for a good buy entry right here for about 50 pips. Unfortunately, we missed that. So Amanda, so this is what the alert looks like. You know, if you set the alert like I mentioned earlier, and that's one that I set for US 30. So US 30 is still gonna be bouncing around. We'll just have to give it some time. But I'm not currently in that trade. Euro NZD. I wouldn't take this because it's against the trend. Euro USD. It's pulled back a little bit, but I think it should be fine. GA, nothing there. GC. This would actually be a good sell if it closes. Let's see. So if it closes below here, looks like, no, there's just too many zones here. That's the problem. Last thing you want to do is get into a trade and then get caught in that. And the problem with this here too is, like, you know, although we want it to hit full TP, things are, it might reject off this SR and shoot back up, or reject off down here and then shoot back up. So it's just, you know, it's just too risky. And if you guys are familiar with how I trade, you know, I don't like taking on too much unnecessary risk. Let's see, Keith said his CHF JPY hitting full TP. I don't know which one Keith called, but let me just pull it up. So we're on GCAD. I'm gonna come back to it, but let's look at. Oh yeah, so maybe this is what Keith took, or he might have taken it on a different time frame, like maybe the 30-minute. Let's see. Yeah, there was an entry right here actually. So it might have been this or this one right here, or even a pivot entry if you took a scalp. So if you took this buy right here, this would have been a win. This buy two, this buy two, this buy two, it's 3 buys right there. And this is why I like scalping sometimes, because instead of just catching the big move, you can catch a big like a bunch of these smaller moves, and they add up to just the same amount, if not more, since there's more volume there. But yeah, CHF JPY looks good, Keith. If you had that for a buy, which is what I'm assuming, since that's what the bias looks like. Euro odd, nothing there. Oh, sorry, we're at GCAD. So yeah, I would have taken this trade, but it's too close to the zone. Last thing I want to happen is, you know, price come down and then reject off. GBP CHF right here. There's no trade really here because it's obviously it's going sideways. It's in a very strong consolidation right now. GJ right here, same situation with odd JPY. You know, I wait for price to break and close above this point right here. Once it does that, then it will provide for a decent entry. GN, I saw this entry here earlier. Reason I didn't call it was because it's too close to the zone. So you can see right here that price closed right here, and then it shot up, and then it came back down. But yeah, it doesn't really look like, you know, it has enough power to shoot up further. I would take this trade if it closed above it, like right there, and then I could have taken a long from right there. So that looks good. I mean, it doesn't look good, but it would look good if it did close above it. GU, same situation right here. We have a buy signal. So I'd have to wait for price to break and close above this zone right here. So if it breaks and closes above the zone, then it would provide for a good buy entry. But currently nothing there. NZD CAD, I would take a sell entry if we got a sell signal, similar to what we have right here. So all these sells right here would have been really nice. So this right here will win for about 86 pips. Another sell right here. Another win for about 86 pips. And then if we got another sell down here, then we could do the same thing. Write that down. Hopefully hit full TP down there. Let's see. NZD CHF. We have a buy signal here, but it's against the trend. So that's why I wouldn't take this trade. NJ, let's see where the SRs are. Yeah, it's way too close. So you see right here, NJ is pushing up, but it's rejecting right off the K2 pivot. I mean, at the K2 SR. So the thing is, it could come up here, reject, and then come down, come up here, reject, and then head on down, or come up here or up here, and then just come all the way down. So yeah, me personally, even though I would want to take this because it's in the direction of the trend, there's just too many rejection points right there. So it's just too dangerous to take. NZD USD, nothing there. USD CAD, same position we have open. Looks like it should be hitting full TP at some point. USD CHF, nothing there. And UJ, actually UJ might be a good one. Let's see how far is it from this point. It's too close, 15 pips. So the problem with this is if we enter a long position, we're gonna get screwed right here because the full TP is way up here, but the odds are price might reject off this K2SR since it's a pretty strong SR level. You can see that price usually has trouble to get to that zone. So price will come up, it'll go sideways, it might spike up, but then it comes back down. So I mean, overall, it's a slow market. This is exactly how it's been all week. Not too much of a change, but we're still gonna stay conservative, and we're gonna take smart trades. We're not gonna take any too risky trades, and we're gonna try to conserve capital for a better week. But yeah, guys, it looks like that's it for all the questions. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram. I'll have this up on YouTube soon if you guys want to go back and rewatch the strategy. But if you guys want access to all the K2 indicators, if you guys don't already have it, just go to the K2 website, and then we still have the trial going on. So if you scroll down to the bottom, we have the $50 trial here. So for $50, you get all the indicators, you get all the whole course videos, and then all the premium groups. So once you have that, you'll have access to the course right here, and then you can learn how to trade exactly how I do. And then you'll have access to indicators as well. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for the live trading room and the trading webinar. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram. And if you guys are new here, just a reminder, we have this every week on Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 6. It'll either go before or after, depending if we have a lot of questions. I'm always available to stay on later. So, because we're out of questions now, looks like this would be about it. And I'll see you guys back in the chat. All right, guys, thanks for showing up.